Paul, welcome to the Everything You Are podcast.
Thank you.
As a way of introducing you, you're a professor of religious studies and existential psychology and philosophy. Your PhD thesis is a mix between religious studies, media, and theology. And also, you are in the process of writing a book about a topic which is called Existential Health,
Exactly.
which we are going to discuss during this podcast. And this is a relatively new concept for people who don't know about existential philosophy. And your objective in this book is to make it accessible to a wider audience.
Exactly. To popularize the concept of existential health.
Yes. So what is existential health and what motivated you to start writing about it?
It's about, to be more accurate, the United Nations adopted just a few years ago the concept of spiritual health. They call it spiritual health. I call it existential. And maybe we can discuss why I made this choice. And they said that, and this is literally expressed in the documents, that spiritual health is a very important health dimension. And they wrote it now in their documents as something that all countries should focus on.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of something when I met this concept. Meanwhile, I was studying existential philosophy and psychology, doing some master classes. And then when this concept erupted, I said this is something definitely unknown, unexplored. And I was very much curious about it. And I'm still now, it's about two years, 1.5 years, I'm trying to read and explore how can we explain this concept and why is it so important?
Yes, why is it so important?
Because it encompasses a set of our feelings, our fundamental feelings, thoughts and actions, and in the sense that how do we relate to ourselves, to our environment, and to our superior perceptions. So you have this configuration of what makes existential health important. It's about our feelings, about actions, attitudes, and how do we relate to ourselves, to our environment, and to our higher perceptions. If you have a faith, spirituality. So there are many ways to define this, but this is, let's say, a brief review of how to define it.
Okay, so it explores basic human feelings, emotions, and needs.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's a bit complicated because it's a set of. It's not separated from each other. So it's let's say. Well, if you look at from another horizon, you might also define it as your ability to ask and to confront fundamental questions of life, to confront the challenges of life, and it also involves your well-being, your emotional and psychological well-being, and your ability to ask things about the meaning of life and to manage your existential anxiety.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. So
Yeah.
what is existential anxiety?
Existential anxiety is related to the idea that there is a void and there are no objective criteria to define what is the meaning of life. You see? So everybody has to tackle it on its own. Of course, there are different ideologies that are represented to us, and some of them are tempting, other not. But following blindly in ideology is not good for existential health, because it's based on the individual ability to confront the challenges of life, to ask questions about what is the meaning in life for me? Since we said that there are no objective criteria, so there's no, we cannot, as a group of people, we cannot say now it's like an equation 1 + 1 = 2. So everybody has to search for this meaning and to find it based on the values, the principles that you believe in.
And why do we ask these existential questions? What leads us to ask?
It's something given. The nature of our existence is inherent to this kind of question. We have this need as something inherent to us. We are searching for certain coherence. Why is it that we exist? And what is the meaning of our existence? These kind of questions are typically humans. So, and I think everybody, sooner or later, will come to a certain time he or she will ask themselves. And especially in situation called Grenzsituation in German, which means that situations where you are exposed to difficult situations in life, like somebody that you love maybe has died, or maybe he had a car accident and he's so all this really, maybe you or somebody else got a cancer, all this kind of situations, getting old, living alone, suffering from something. So all these situations, you cannot negotiate this situation. They are there, and the only thing you need to do is to accept them and to try to manage them as best as you can, not escaping from them, and not, because it's easy when you are exposed to this kind of Grenzsituation, is that to get in depression, to enter into depression, for instance, deep one, and to give up your life. Whereas in existential health, if the more you know about existential health, the more you can develop certain resilience, how to manage this. Because there are some patients who, paradoxically, they live much better after knowing that they got a cancer. And the common, one of the common features of what they say, that they had much life quality. Now they realize that they have spent all their lives not knowing exactly what they want. Now they are focusing on only things that give them some quality, offer them some quality, and they have also they are more in peace with themselves. They know that there is an end, but they are trying to do their best in order to enjoy the lapse of time that is kept for them. So they are surrounded by real friends, and they are using their time in a much more aware thing than before.
Okay, so it's when you're in a situation that you don't understand why it's happening, or it gives you a feeling like either it's unfair, or it's sad, or it's absurd, you cannot grasp it or make sense of it, you start asking questions about the situation, so about existence in general.
Yeah.
And that makes you add a new layer to life.
Exactly. This is accepting that life, it's not only just be about being happy. It's both being happy, but also accepting that there are certain things, certain conditions in life where we need to face, let's say, solitude, suffering, either we or some of one of beloved ones, and that we need to navigate through these both good and, let's say, less good things, and accept these contradictions in life. And in fact, existential health is very much based also on the way how you manage all these discrepancies, contradictions that you will meet in your life, the torments that you have, the way how you manage these will definitely affect the quality of life that you have. So if you give up, and if you try to refuse that life can be hard and harsh sometimes, and do things that goes opposite to what you're supposed to do, then you are not living in a way that can manage this kind of contradictions. So you're rather living in a more destructive way.
Okay.
That is opposite to how to keep your a good health.
Okay, so you're living against life in a way, like you're rejecting some aspects of life.
Yes,
rather than
exactly. Let's say, just to give you an example to concretize. You're young, you're having good time and everything, and at a certain point you feel that there is still a void, even if you go to parties and you have friends and you on the outset everything is going fine, but somehow late at night you will still feel before going to bed that there is a void. Now either you go and to ignore this void, and how do you do it? Some will choose drugs, other will choose maybe another way of self-destructing habits, and again others will deal with it in a much more aware sense, and the meaning that okay, what is the suffering? What stands for? Is it something that is inherent to life itself? Is it the best way to ignore it, or to face it? Maybe to enter a dialogue with this kind of suffering, to know more about it. I can read, for instance, how others have confronted this kind of difficulties in life and learn from it. So you have a choice there, and existential health is that you always prepare yourself, gain some resilience, inner strength, in order to meet this grand situation, these situations that are really tough.
Okay, so in the existential health perspectives or principles, how do we deal with those difficult situations, knowing that there is no straightforward answer?
It's to be more and more aware that life is both ups and downs, and that suffering in itself is not a bad thing. Of course, it's a huge challenge, but it's not per se a bad thing. Suffering also is a part of life. So if you accept that suffering is part of life, means, and there are different other things also in life, means that you have also a choice to not let this suffering not letting this suffering take over all of your personality or of your will, but rather manage it in a way, dealing with it, but knowing also that there is a wider horizon where you can put the suffering in a certain context, and that life and what you have and what you are is something more than that, and that you can still enjoy life by enjoying art, literature, sports, doing activities, even if you are suffering, as long as it is feasible.
Okay, so the first principle is to accept that
the acceptance is a very important thing. And how do you do it? You do it by, for instance, appreciating small details in life. For instance, by sometimes practice some meditation, reading, taking a walk in the forest. All these small details will offer you different dimensions of existence. If you are open to this and aware that you have these possibilities, then even if you are suffering, you have something else too. And the more you read and the more experience you have in your life, the more people you meet, and you have good, authentic relationships with yourself, with the world, with your environment, all this will give you an added value to your existence, even if you are suffering from a certain disease or something else.
And also sometimes suffering is, you are suffering, but it's not necessary to be suffering. So you can do something about it.
Yes, you can always do something about it. Of course, there are certain exceptions that are really radicals.
Yes.
For instance, I wrote about a woman who she was old and she had several disease, chronic disease, and at a certain stage she said that she doesn't want to live anymore because her body, she can't recognize her body anymore, and she couldn't find any meaning with her life. So in these cases, it's definitely, there are no easy issues.
No.
There are no outcomes. For this kind of more or less extreme examples, then it's difficult to find an answer. And this is fine also for existential health, means also that life has also generate a number of questions that we might never answer. And we need to live with this kind of uncertainty. What is more important is to produce some clarity around the issues that we can manage, but never certainty. You see the difference?
Yes.
So it's not about, life is not an equation, 1 + 1 = 2. Life is an experience, and you need to live it fully, even if it's difficult, even if it's filled with challenges, because there are both despair, sadness, but there are also colorfulness, there are hope, there are people who really makes a difference with their lives. So life is very rich, and there is a huge diversity. And the more you are aware of this diversity, this fluidity, this contradictions, ambiguity, and less you are judging yourself and others on using very harsh standards, the more you will be able the more you will be able to live in a fluid way, to go a bit with the flow without being affected, let's say tragically affected by it. And to connect with what we started, because I haven't talked about it yet, one of the most factor that makes people resilient, and this is empirically proven, is spirituality. And this is why it is called spiritual health. The spirituality means that it gives us some coherence and some meaning in life when we belong to spirituality. And this meaning is very important, especially when we are suffering.
And also, I feel sometimes we can associate spirituality with religion.
Yes.
And
all religions have spirituality, but you don't have to belong to religions
to be spiritual.
To be spiritual.
Yes. So how do you, maybe it's a difficult question, but how do you define spirituality?
Spirituality, very, very brief and
yes.
In a very brief way, spirituality is that this sense, this feeling that you belong to something bigger than yourself. And this bigger than yourself is something that you feel that you're safe there. It's like this bigger self is taking care of you. This bigger self is it's a source that you can dialogue with. And it will follow you, and it brings you some kind of comfort. See that you're never alone. This is a very groove.
Yes.
What's spirituality is.
Yeah.
Now, how religions represent spirituality is much more complicated. It's like a configuration of things, but in a very simplistic way, this is spirituality, and this can be, for instance, for some, nature offers this kind of comfort.
Yeah. Music,
art, for others. Church, mosque, for others too. So what's important here is spirituality is also telling you that maybe life has no inherent meaning, but if you embrace this spirituality, then you are protected against this void. You're not part of this void, because the spirituality, it will gives you meaning, and it will gives you even a certain direction in life. You don't know where it gets, but you have this sense that wherever it takes me, I know that I will be secure, I will be comfortable.
Yeah, so it's basically trusting that life.
Yes, it is about trust.
Yes.
Exactly, it is about trust. And in religion, trust, belief in God. This is how it's translated.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to go through religion. It can.
No,
But
you don't have
it's,
to have a belief in God, in a personal God. For Spinoza, the German Jew philosopher, God and nature was one essence. So there was no personal God.
Yeah, so we can say spirituality is the connection between someone and the
Something
life
that's
force.
bigger than you.
Yeah.
A life
And
that is it's like a living entity bigger than you.
Yeah. And this can go through different means. Religion is one of them.
Yes.
But also nature is another means.
Yeah, philosophy.
So philosophy, okay. Because we are relational, and one relation is the way we relate to life. Like
Yes,
our relationship.
always you are related.
Yes. Like this will affect all the other
Absolutely.
things that happen, because let's say, for example, I am someone who lives in a trustful relationship with life.
Trustworthy relation.
Yeah, like trusting relationship with life, and something very bad happens to me, like I don't know, I lose all my money, for example. If I have a trusting relationship to life, I would think it's okay, like something, like I will get over it, like I have the resources to get over it, and things will happen. But if I don't, I might get of course there's always a moment where you feel sad, like it's normal, but I might, as you said, feel depressed, or feel like it's the end of the world and I'm never going to get over it and get past it. But if we have a trusting relationship to life, we're always going to trust in the fact that it will get better, and I will.
This is exactly what Viktor Frankl is saying.
Yeah.
This is exactly, because he studied people. In fact, not only him. There's a Russian scholar. I don't remember his name anymore. He said he studied people who were in prison. It was also during Holocaust, I think. And he said those who survived, and this is the quintessential example of existential health. Those who survived, they as a preliminary, they thought that life is something that matters.
Yeah.
Life is something that matters. That life is something that can be understandable. That there is a certain coherence in life. So even they were in prison, even they knew that they won't survive because they were jailed for they were Jews, and the Nazis wanted to eradicate them. But it happens that these people, when they had these thoughts, they could develop a certain inner resiliency, because they thought that life, even there was no single hope, presuming that life can be understandable, there is certain coherence, and life matters. So they could resist better than those who didn't think this way. They died, whereas then they survived and they got freed by the Allies. So it's basically what you said. It's all about our beliefs, our convictions, our spirituality. This is to be more decisive. This is maybe where we should start by when we talk about existential health.
Okay.
It's all about your principle, your values, your convictions, because even though we are not aware of them when we act, we don't think, I have this value, but consider only just one situation, a context. Let's say you want to get married with some person who belongs to another culture. The first thing you should do is, because usually we don't do that, is to sit with this person and ask this person, how do you see, what is your conception about life education? What is your conception, children education, excuse me, about economy, about love, about sexual identities? If it happens that you will discuss and feel that this person has a totally different opinion, then you will feel something inside of you that is a bit uneased. This is the sign that if this person is not aligned with the principles and the values you have, then to get married with this person might be problematic.
Okay, so then you can decide if that's...
Yes,
something.
then your existential health is really questioned.
Yes, okay. So it's about the way in which we relate to life,
Yes,
to different aspects of life.
to your environment, yourself, and to your higher perceptions. Let's say that this guy has a different faith. If you get married and then you realize that through his faith, he has a certain expectation on the role of women, or the education of children, or sexuality, or something like this, that you are not maybe totally agree with.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And this will affect you both physically, mentally, and socially. So your values here are so important that will affect all these three domains, because you are not aligned spiritually with the person that you want to get. So, and this is excuse me, just a few points. This is something that we need to be more aware of, especially in a country like Lebanon, where you have a cultural diversity, and unfortunately also a lot of misconceptions about the other. Who is the other? Who he doesn't belong to my faith, to my religion, and yeah.
But it's interesting because our values, our visions of life, our ideologies of life, spirituality, like you said, they affect us, the way in which we live, the relationships we have with others, our decisions in life. But as you said, we rarely express them directly.
Yes.
And sometimes we're not even aware of them.
Often.
So, yeah.
We're not. We're not. I know myself when I traveled to Sweden. The first 5-6 years, I was totally alienated.
Yes.
It was like what I feel. My let's say my frame, my value system was not confirmed in this society. So I was really feeling an outsider. I was alienated, mentally, emotionally, and it was very tough. Even though I was studying at university, but I still felt like I couldn't be part of this society.
Okay, so what did you do?
I got married with a Swede. And I learned a lot from this marriage.
Okay.
Unfortunately, sometimes at a very high price. But it's one of the experience that was the most the most valuable, in the sense that really a challenge that has let's say I learned really a lot of it.
How?
Because I realized that suddenly you might love someone, and yet this very someone has totally different cultural references than you. Even sometimes on a spiritual level, but it was not my case, because we were both spiritually we had a lot of common things. But let's say children education, sexual identities, political issues, ideologies. These things should not be underestimated. I'm not saying that you only live with somebody who is the cloning copy of you. Of course not. But at a certain level, if you want to get married, because this is maybe the most important decision you do in your life. If you want to live with somebody, it's better to clear up a certain number of things that are very intimate and important. That is our beliefs, values, convictions. Just talk about them before and try to find some middle ways, if you can, before getting married or getting in a relation. You don't need to because if you get married and if you are stuck in and you find that and you realize afterwards that there is no, we are not compromising on this, so this will make you develop some kind of resentment within you, and this will widen the gap in your relationship. So I'm not saying that you cannot bridge the gap, of course, by having dialogues and by being open, challenging yourself. You always can learn a lot, and doing this is in a relationship you have to do this. You have to be always to challenge yourself in order to come closer to your, and the same goes for your partner. But relationships, I think, has also a certain tolerance. If you go beyond this level of tolerance, then it will be broken.
Yeah, but also sometimes with couples, even though they are culturally different, it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So I guess it's knowing what.
And the problem, you never know, but as long as you are open, and as long as you are humble, and as long as you feel safe within you have inner strength, then you can really you're generous with what you might be. This is also what goes for relation goes towards life itself. If you have this inner strength, and if you are existentially very much aware that you can always raise your awareness about the complexities of life, the challenges of life, and you're open to deal with it, and you're not afraid, because what this confrontation gives you, if you have the right, sometimes you need to talk to somebody, what it gives you, it will offer you new dimensions, new pattern of actions and decisions.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting because I feel like what you're saying, let's me know if I understood correctly, is that you have certain values or beliefs, and by being confronted with ones that are different than yours, you realize that actually these are your values or beliefs.
Or sometimes you feel now. Excuse me. Sometimes, not sometimes. I mean, most often, the first time you are confronted, you are very defensive.
Yeah.
What is this? No, I don't like it. It's like once, if you leave Lebanon for a new country and you want to live there, you want to settle there, the first year, maybe the second, maybe the third, you will always think that Lebanon is always better. You will always think that no, this is not so. Because you need to have this, because you need to be stuck to a certain frame. You need to have a frame. You need always to have a certain home within you. And the more you realize that this home within you is fluid, is diverse, is contradictory, but it's fine. This is part of life, and you are in the middle of this life, and you are capable of dealing with all this. Then you can find some resilience within you. Then I think you can be able to meet somebody from the other side, not by judging themselves, but by showing some curiosity, some openness. And this is a good start. So you're telling your partner, if I'm so generous, hopefully you are, because if the other person is not existentially aware of all these, then you're not talking to each other from the same level. And here there is a risk that the communication somehow is not functioning well.
Okay, so from one part, because there are different aspects, so from one part, there is realizing the fact that the way in which you see the world and react to the world is within a certain frame that you put yourself.
Yeah.
Of a set of beliefs, of values.
Yes.
And this is personal to you, so everyone has.
Yes, it always guides you, and it's you don't think of it, but it guides you. And the way how you tackle this, the difficulties in life, is in light of these values you have.
And I guess sometimes you realize that this frame that you have is not working anymore.
Yes,
and
this
that's
is very
when
important.
you question it, or when you get confronted to other frames through other people.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't say it better. What happens then is you will, for your first reaction, you will try to ignore this new setting and force your setting into reality, which means try to mold reality according to your settings, whereas you need to do the other way around. It's reality that is most complicated, and you need to revise your moral settings, your moral fundamentals. And this is where there is two ways here. Either you will get depressed and totally be alienated and mentally ill, and sometimes even worse, or then starts the journey of it that I would call a transformative journey, where you will revise your settings and adjust them to the complexities of the reality that you are part of, and developing new ways of how to frame yourself in terms of your beliefs, your convictions. So you're trying here, and this is what is transformative, because we don't change our beliefs overnight.
Yeah.
Or our faith or our spirituality. But this is a long journey. And the fact that you are open and you are now ready to revise this requires a lot of inner resilience. But then what you gain is a much larger, much more complex horizon, pictures of life that will bring you a great deal of anxiety too. But anxiety in itself is not, as let's say traditional psychology address it, it's not a diagnostic. It's a very normal pattern of life, and it's all about not to medicate this anxiety, but rather to look, to explore what does it tells, what does it tell me, what is this kind of anxiety? Because if you deal with it in the right way, it will definitely open new perspectives, give you new patterns of actions, offer you a lot of possibilities. So anxiety is, in fact, it can turn into some possibility, some transformative possibility for a richer life.
And the ways of making it conscious are, of course, to speak with someone,
Yes.
to communicate.
Always
Especially
with a
someone
dialogue.
who is skilled. in
Yes,
this.
that with a dialogue, sometimes even not even talking to somebody, sometimes you want to feel.
Yeah. You expose yourself to different ideas,
Exactly.
different perspectives, and you see how you react to
Yes.
them. Or even through writing, for example.
Of course, or reading
speaking with yourself.
there is a lot of things, art, and literature, of course, they can, if it's good, they can create some kind of cognitive conflicts or cognitive dissonance with that, which means that we live like a machine. We do things more or less unaware. We wake up, drink coffee, go, you see.
Unconscious.
Yes, we do a lot of things without even reflecting upon it, because this is the patterns we live by. But certainly, suddenly, maybe walking on the street, you see something that catches your attention, and right away, it is so eloquent in a way that it will click within you, that there's some. Now, most likely it takes time. Habits takes time to change. This is known, really long time. But sometimes also there are small details that can create cognitive conflicts or dissonance in our brain that shakes us, and suddenly we see things a bit differently. Something has shifted a bit. Something has shifted.
It provoked.
Yes, it provokes us, has shifted a bit, and we don't know why. We don't know what is it, but if we can try to make sense of this conflict, slowly we can realize that there is something within us that should be revised. And here you are.
Okay. So maybe if we want to, like, based on the conversation that we had,
Yes.
reiterate what existential health means, but let me know if it's correct.
Yes.
Is to, as beings who live always in relationship to something in life, relationship to life, to other people, to objects, to creative works, etc. It's to have actually healthy relationships with all these moving parts that make life, and to accept life like as a whole, like all the parts of life, and to relate to it so in a way that is beneficial for us.
Exactly. And the last thing you said, I think it was really like very concrete and essential. That accept. Maybe we should start from there. Existential health is about our ability to ask questions, being aware that life is a complex, contradictory, beautiful, bad thing. All of these at the same time. Just being aware of that and knowing that we as humans, during our journey, we might encounter, we will definitely encounter, at least at the end of our life, solitude, suffering, death, anxiety. But this is part of life.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Do you have anything that you want to add?
No, I enjoyed it very much, and I really impressed by your questions, your feedback, trying to explain this.